Do you know which Jordans those are?
Aren't they? No, these are like the. They're not. Are these the 11s? Yeah, these are the 11s. I think.
11s?
Yeah, I think. Yeah. I'm still learning my Jordan game though. I'm still getting on it. So, they keep sending me some, so I'm really excited about that though. So I'm not complaining. I'm gonna be swagged out. I'm nice. Huh? Oh, I got to auction off those, the Yeezys. Do I see $1? How about $2? I'll tell you what, exciting day for us today. I'm really pleased with how today went. I thought our coaching staff did a great job. Usually you have a new staff coming in. You're kind of under crunch time, and that's when signing day is in February. For the December 20th signing day, I think our guys did a fabulous job working, getting to know these kids, getting out there, developing the relationships, finding out the things we needed to find out, that the guys fit what the expectations within our program are. As we're bringing them in here, and I'm really proud of all of our assistant coaches, how they worked. I think one thing certainly that helped with this group is the fact that we have several coaches, including myself, that have been Gators before. So I think that certainly helped when you're going out there on the road. Recruiting, and as parents go and kids start asking questions about the university, about the program, about the history, you've been a part of it. You know what's going on, and so you're a lot more comfortable speaking about it. But the one thing you look at with this class is, getting a couple offensive linemen helped. In recruiting, though, I will say this now, and we're learning with this new signing period. We're about the halfway point. What we do now is we'll reset. I imagine everybody around the country is going to do the same thing. You're going to reset. You're going to look at it. The next signing days now is about 6 weeks away. And, gonna look at the pool. Look at our needs, look at the pool, see who fits, and really reset recruiting and get out there and start getting after it again. So, but we had a couple offensive linemen that I'm excited about bringing in here. I think that's a big need position. I'll continue to be a big need position in recruiting. Some running backs, really, so a couple of tight ends. I think that was a big need for us recruiting. But when you look at the tight ends, when you look at the DBs, you look at the running backs, the biggest thing to me, linebackers, is the position flexibility. What I want to do, and what we want both offensively and defensively, is create mismatches out there on the field. So the ability for guys to have position flexibility, where a guy can play corner, safety, nickel, even a dime linebacker and blitz off the edge on the defensive side of the ball. That's a lot of flexibility and can create mismatches. Tight ends that can go out and receiver, and running backs that can motion out of the backfield or motion into the backfield. Creates position flexibility and gives you the opportunity to create mismatches out there on the field. So I'm excited about the athleticism that we've brought in today and the flexibility those guys have. And then obviously it's huge to get a quarterback. That's a guy that kind of ends up being a big leader for the class. As everybody looks at it, a leader for the future of the program, and we couldn't be happier to have Emory come in and being our quarterback for the future. So, any questions? Fire away.
With Emory, the back history with you guys, you offered him when you were at Mississippi State. How did you, rekindle that relationship once you were here, and how quickly did things progress?
Well, I think one of the things that actually started right after I got here, kind of reached out, touched base, because I think there was some familiarity between the two of us. But he was trying to feel his way around because he was committed elsewhere, with his future being that way. And I had just been named here. We had a quarterback committed here, and there were other guys that I was becoming familiar with. It was kind of, we kept in contact the whole time and said, hey, in the end, it's going to be funny, I bet, how it works out. And it is funny, that goes full circle, that we were the first ones to offer, and we were his first scholarship offer. And I told him, I was sitting in the house with he and his mom, I said, God works in funny ways sometimes, that, we were the first and we were the last. And, So it kind of worked out that way. But I think the familiarity we had with each other really made it easy because he knew what he was getting with us, and we knew what we were getting with him.
And he mentioned he would talk to Brian Johnson even when Brian was at Houston. How much familiarity did that help? Also having a quarterbacks coach, someone who also had a relationship with him.
Well, I think it's huge because it is. When he's not just coming to play quarterback. He's coming to play quarterback at the University of Florida. And there's a lot of responsibility that comes with that. The history of the position here. You have to find somebody that can handle the responsibilities of not just the quarterback position for the football team, but the quarterback at the University of Florida, which is something special. And so, I think his comfort with us and our comfort with him know that he is somebody that can handle that scrutiny, handle that pressure, handle those expectations, and really not handle it, but thrive on it. And that's what he was looking for, is to be a quarterback at really the premier quarterback school in America.
Edgar, and then Steve Russell in the back, then we'll get to you, bud. Go ahead, Edgar.
Yeah, Dan, so what was your anxiety level, I guess, going on as he was making that decision? We saw the little video. You weren't sure.
Today's a very anxious day. As a coach, today's one of those hard days. Usually when we're out there on the field, when we're in the swamp, I kind of feel like I have a lot of control of everything going on for the most part. Today you don't quite have the control. You send out the papers, and then your control kind of ends at that point. You're recruiting, you're talking to them, you're hoping you feel good about it, but there's so much that happens. I mean, you're talking about young people and their families, 17, 18-year-olds making life-changing decisions, and you're not there. So you hope that all the conversations you've had, the trust that you've formed with them, that bond that you've formed with them, that it's going to hold true. And you know what? It did today for us in just about every case.
In Emory's case, how big is it for this staff program to win a recruiting battle of that size against some of the competition you were going against?
Well, I mean, those are the expectations here, and that's, I guess, maybe the first, but certainly is not going to be the last, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot of them, because we want to go and recruit the best players in America to come play for us. And so the guys that we're going after, they're going to have a lot of different opportunities to go to great schools all around America. And so for us and our coaching staff, we're going to be in a lot of those recruiting battles in the future of getting the best players in America.
Steve Russell in the back to the left, coach, to the left.
Dan, how are you?
Whoa,
right
hey,
here.
Steve. How
Good
you
to
doing?
see you.
Way back there.
You kind of touched on this earlier, but you had to get a coaching staff in order quickly and get parts interchanged. That must have gone well, but can you elaborate? How well did that go? Was that process smooth? And then you mentioned offensive line being a position of need. In the system that you run, is there a particular type of lineman you're looking for?
No, well, the first one, the staff part, that's always hard. I'll be honest, you're taking over a program right now is in the last 3 weeks or however many days it's been that I've been the head coach now. You're looking at trying to manage a team, meet a team, get to know players, see where we're at within a group of players here. Establish an identity to the program for the staff, not just the coaches, the staff. Go out, hire a coaching staff, and sign a recruiting class. And still try to throw in being a husband and a father every once in a while as best I could too, with the transition of a family going through. There's a lot of things going on. So a bunch of that is kind of it's been a crazy time. And so the staffing part of it is obviously a huge challenge. Very fortunate to have people I've worked with, I think, that for quite a long time, that have been with me, that have been loyal to me. In our program, and know what my standards, what my expectations are of them, John Hevesy and Billy Gonzalez, and Todd Grantham, coming with me, of not asking a question, just hey, said, you want to come to Florida? Let's go, bang, just send me some gear. I'm ready to go out recruiting, and that's about the extent of the conversation of their role of coming to coach here. But it has been, there's been turnover within our staff even since I've been here. Bringing our new coaches in is always kind of a crazy time. So the offensive linemen, the one is what we look for. You have an idea where guys play, but you also want position flexibility within the offensive line, of guys that can play multiple positions. If you talk with John, he wants to teach everybody to snap, just so that everybody has an idea how to snap, because if you can't snap the ball, you're going to look pretty silly in a hurry. So, find out who's comfortable, because a lot of these guys, maybe are great centers and have never been in that position before. If I look at some of the great centers in the past that we've had, whether it was at Mississippi State or here at Florida, within our system, within our offense, most of the guys that played center weren't centers in high school, moved to that position. So the position flexibility across the offensive line is important.
Buddy over to the right.
Hi, Dan. You mentioned the quarterback position, the history that you have here. You're a big part of that, obviously. And there's no secret that Florida has been struggling at that position. How much more pressure was added to you to make a choice at this time which one of these quarterbacks you needed to have to run your system to establish what you wanted to? It seemed like this is one of the more critical decisions of a Gator coach about his quarterback.
I think it is, but it is. It's always going to be every single year, because that is one of the most critical, the most important positions on the field. I think coming in, I think for our fan base, I think that lack of maybe that quarterback that they're used to identifying with, which is a lot of the guys that have played quarterback here and the Gator greats that come out of that position, and the Gator Nation everywhere kind of expects who's that guy. So I've got to meet with some of the guys that are here, and there's some talented quarterbacks on campus. I think we just signed an extremely talented young man. So I think that the onus not just signing the quarterback, but to me, to get to work in developing those guys and developing. And one of the things that's most important at the quarterback position, okay, is understanding as a coach what they do well, and try to put them in a position to do things that they do well. If I walked up and lined up all my quarterbacks throughout the years, and they all stood in a line up here, be a pretty good-looking line, I think, an impressive line. But you'd say there's no way those guys all had success running the same offense for the same coach. And you'd probably be true in one part of it, because even though they didn't all run the identical offense, the flexibility within the offense to build around the strength of the quarterback is really important. And you're not going to ask guys to do things they don't do well. That's one thing, even in recruiting, in talking with Emory. Okay, how are we going to change to do things that he does well? And we went back and explained and looked at the difference of the different quarterbacks from, what a Nick Fitzgerald was doing well was different than what Dak Prescott did well, which was different than what a Chris Ralph did well, which was different than what a Tebow did well, which is different than what Chris Leak did well, which was different than what Alex Smith did well. And you kind of put them the key is putting them in a position to be successful, not have the quarterback have to fit your system. You have to have the flexibility that your system fits around the strengths of that quarterback, and that's the most important thing for us, identifying these strengths for all the guys that we have and put them in the right position to be successful.
I like Chris Leak, et cetera, as you did before. Was there a big advantage for you not playing in the bowl game? That gave you opportunity to get out there and recruit harder.
Sure. I don't know. It's going to be kind of weird the next 2 weeks, we hit a dead period in recruiting right now. So, you can call and text every once in a while, and a lot of people are playing football, and I'm really not used to not playing football this time of year. So, I don't know. It'll be an interesting deal at home. I got to hang out with the wife and kids, which I'm really looking forward to. I don't want to make that sound like a negative. But I can promise you this. I hope this is the last time that we're not preparing for a bowl game.
Zach in the middle, and then Andrea. Zach in the middle.
Dan, one of the interesting dynamics of Emery's recruitment was that he was committed to Urban, and he said that going from him to you was kind of weird. He said he feels like Urban would feel like he's in good hands now. Was that dynamic weird for you at all?
No. I mean, we were going out and trying to get the best, recruit the best players possible. I think, especially it's not weird because I think in a lot of ways we're probably looking for similar traits in quarterbacks. Not just at the athleticism or the style of play, but traits as far as the intangibles that they have. I mean, that stuff that when you put on the film and you watch them play, the other things. I mean, everybody's like, boy, this guy can really throw and this guy can really run. Okay, that everybody's going to kind of be looking at that guy then. But it's digging deeper that and finding the intangibles. And I think Urban and I probably have very similar philosophies in the intangibles we're looking for in our quarterbacks.
And then one of those intangibles is leadership. And that you guys have a lot of things to attract recruits to Florida, but having a quarterback committed and signed now to go out on the trail that last month and kind of hype up, how much will you feel like that will help?
Well, I think it's huge because the one thing you look at is when you touched on it, leadership. Okay, one, we want quarterbacks that have great leadership. But even if they don't, I'm going to tell you, if you walked an entire freshman class into a room and I said, okay, everybody, here's a pen and paper, vote who's going to be our one leader in this group. Who's the leader? You nominate the leader, hand them to us. Without them knowing each other, they're all going to vote for the quarterback. Usually how it works, that they just assume that guy's the leader. So now having him in place, I think over the next 6 weeks and as, other guys that we're recruiting, as it gets heated up here, they're going to look and say, hey, the leader's already in place, and it's a big-time leader at Florida.
Andrea in the middle of the left.
Dan, just to talk about this a little bit more with this crunched time period for recruiting, how did you guys go about deciding who you were going to target, how you were going to target them, and the game plan for what you needed to do when you only had a few weeks to do it?
Well, obviously it was crunched. I think we missed a couple of opportunities. That if we had more time, we would have been able to get some players that we just maybe ran on time. Some guys that would have fit what we do and maybe would have loved to have been Gators. We just didn't have time to have the relationship with them, with this short window. So, but what we did is came in and worked with what we had and went out there and hit the ground running as hard as we could and trying to get guys that, there were guys that were committed here. We kept several of them. We didn't keep some of them, and maybe they changed their minds with the staff, or maybe they didn't fit really what we were doing, or didn't fit what our program was going to stand and represent for, what it was going to represent in the future. And then there's other guys that we're excited about what our program's going to represent in the future that we're looking at other places. So we just tried to, as much as we could, identify players, swarm players that are going to fit what we want. With only where we signed the number of guys now, there's still there's spots open for us that we'd like to fill on the next signing day. But what we want to do is kind of come in and fill the slots of guys that we felt comfortable with. We'll move on from that now and find where our needs are and try as hard as we can to go fill those spots in the next signing day.
Robbie to the right, and Thomas, I got you back, Zach, too. Go ahead, Robbie.
Dan, what are some of the needs you think you need to fill here to close out the class?
Certainly, corner is going to be a big need for us. Defensive line, outside linebacker, offensive line, and wide receiver are going to be really the emphasis moving forward. But I do think when you look at some of those are the main needs. We'll still look at we'll be recruiting everybody. But I think you check the box at quarterback. You check the box at place kicker. With Eddie entering the draft, and announcing he was going to do that to get Evan McPherson, who's probably the best high school kicker in America, to come in, and know that there's a good chance you might be starting day one, and I think that chance really increased yesterday. To check those boxes, I think certainly adds some security moving forward for the program.
And Dan, 8 early enrollees, including your quarterback, how big is that?
Anytime guys enroll early, I think gives anytime just the general philosophy of enrolling early, I think gives you a jump start in your college career. They also get to go through an off-season conditioning program and to get to go through spring ball. So I do think it helps them with a foundation of building for their future, and certainly with the opportunity to get on the field early in their career.
All the way in the back, Zach. All the way in the back.
Coach, how do you continue to build on this momentum from a day like this right here, something new, being back here? What do you do going forward now?
Well, I mean, I think there's a lot that we can embrace moving forward. What we want to build. I think everybody understands, especially every time you come in this room, and even when I stand here, and you look at the bowl appearances. Okay, you look at the SEC championships. There, in my office, there's 3 crystal balls of the standards and expectations of what this program is and what it represents. I think the quality of young men coming in are certainly going to help put us back on that path to having that type of program. And everything we're doing, I think the momentum from this day, the guys that we've gotten coming into us, is going to help continue to build that foundation for us to get back to where we need to be as a football program.
Matt, up front to the left, Coach.
Dan, obviously, this was the first time this was a new, the early signing period. What did you like about it and not like about it?
I like it. Obviously, we're put in a tough situation this year. But I do like having the opportunity to have an early signing period. These are guys that knew they want to be Gators. And so why extend it out for another 6 weeks? Why all these visits and the craziness in their life and having to get out of class and that deal? So I do. I'm in favor. I wouldn't have minded another week or two maybe of work with the time frame that I had to work with. But I think moving forward into the future, that there's some benefits to having the early signing day. And we'll see. We'll see this time next year when we have a whole year to work on it, a whole year to work on the 2019 class before that next early signing date. How that plays out. I think you'll see. This year's a test. I think next year is going to give a little bit more consistency to what it's going to be, and within 2 to 3 years, you're going to kind of know how the signing days are going to play out for the long term for the future.
And what's kind of your overall philosophy on this class? I know some new coaches would rather take a smaller class just because maybe the hit rate's not as high.
Well, what we're doing is find guys that we think fit our program, both with their character, their work ethic, and their talent. And so if you check those boxes and we have the position need, we're not going to hold back, but we're not going to fill spots just to fill a spot. Just if we have a roster spot available doesn't mean we'll fill it. We're going to go find guys that we feel that are going to help us take the program to the championship level.
Edgar in the middle, and then Ryan up front. Edgar in the middle.
Yeah, Coach, the offense has been kind of the bugaboo for this program for a while. What can you tell us about the other guys? We've been talking about the quarterback the whole time, the 2 running backs and tight ends.
Yeah, people like offense here, don't they? I mean, I remember
There hadn't been any for a while.
I remember, boy, it was a rough walk to my car after the game if we didn't score 40 when I was here before. So, you kind of put the head down and try to run in and sneak out of the back of the stadium. So, but I love that. I love scoring points. I can get me upset. I love scoring points. Really excited. I think the running backs, one thing I will say, you have an Iverson Clement who gives you as a guy, as a playmaker, in and out of the backfield, open space runner, can get him the ball in the open field. Damien goes down to me, and I know, I think Chris Bleish signed his first, but the first one to come in on the phone, the picture, even though I think his time was ahead of when he signed was Damien Pierce. So for me, I texted him that. I said, hey, you're always going to have a special place in my heart because you are the first signee for me as the head coach at the University of Florida. So that's not something I'm ever going to forget. That's the first person that officially bought in to what we're doing and got his papers in. So, but he's a physical back that can, that I love, can, has the ability to make you miss and make the plays in the perimeter outside, but really can also run the ball between the tackles and wear down a defense through the course of a game.
Another question, more kind of housekeeping, so to speak.
Okay.
Any decisions on staffing? Was Brian's going to coach quarterbacks, I assume?
Yeah, Brian will coach the quarterbacks. You know, it's a work in progress that I'd love to have the staff in place by the time we get on the road recruiting again in January. But it's going to be a fluid situation still for the next 2 weeks until we get everything in place,
And the
both
other
on and off the field.
injuries, Malik Davis and Brett Heggie.
Malik had his surgery. They said it went really well. You know, yeah, had a surgery. We'll know more when they get back. You know, this is always a tricky time. I know Malik's still here doing some rehab because, you know, this is a time where they're off. They have a break, so they got to make sure they're maintaining doing what they're going to do for the next couple of weeks. So till they get back, and then, you know, we'll have a better idea once mid-January, once they're into the heart of their rehab where they're at.
How are you on injuries? I mean, can you tell us what the injuries were, or do you not do that?
I'm not into.
Okay.
I'm not a big injury guy.
All right, just trying to find out.
Huh?
Just finding out.
Ryan up front.
Going back to the quarterbacks, you mentioned building an offense around like QB's strengths. Can you expound on what you see as Emery's strengths and the kind of player you think he can become over time?
Well, I think one, he's a winner, and that's the first thing you look for. You know, as a guy that has an it factor about him and can go win football games for you. I told him the first thing after all my film evaluation on him. I asked him a question. I said, and this is what I love about him because he gets it. I said, what was the most impressive thing I watched about your film? He said, me playing free safety. I said, you're right. As I started with that, I said, I wouldn't be sitting here recruiting you if you couldn't throw and run. But how he played the physicalness of going in there, the unselfishness to go there and be a quarterback and say, hey, the team needs me. I'm going to go do whatever I need to help my team win football games. That attitude, you know, of being a winner. To me, that having having all the intangibles, being a winner, that's what it is. He's a winner. And so it starts there of somebody that has that mindset. You know, he even sent me a text about 10 days ago. He said, hey, you know what? I mean, when all's said and done, I'm your man. I'm going to help you win championships at Florida. And, you know, just when you see a text like that's what I want to see out of my quarterback. Someone that has that confidence, you know, and that expectation. Not worried about what jersey number or worried about a lot of the other stuff that goes on in recruiting. Someone's worried about coming in and doing what it takes to win. So he checks all of those boxes. Obviously, he's got a strong arm. He's got the size and the athletic ability to improvise. He can run, but he can also, you know, run the football, but he can also improvise and extend plays, and he does have a cannon for an arm.
So that text 10 days ago, that give you a sense that he was coming here? Did you have
No,
confidence?
I sense that at that point that, hey, we were probably going to merge into the direction that there was interest on both our parts to make this happen in the end, I think. It wasn't that was it. It was, I think it was him reaching out to me saying, you know, I think we were both kind of looking and feeling everybody, and he was feeling out his situation. We were feeling out our situation. I think that was his word to me of, hey, I can't wait to get you into the house and us sit down and let's see if this works for both of us.
And a lot of folks will kind of expect him to be the guy as a freshman. What do you see as the competition?
Well, I think that's hard to say, as you're going to come in to be a true freshman and be the guy in the Southeastern Conference. I think the opportunity for him graduating early and go through spring practice will give him a chance. But I'll be honest with you, there's a couple quarterbacks on campus. They're going to say, I'm going to have something to say about that because they're going to have a competitive edge to them as well. But I think that mindset, the competitiveness at the position is certainly going to elevate the play of all of the quarterbacks.
Any final questions? Buddy, go ahead.
Imagine that you had dinner with Emery when he was here. Just how did that go?
Have dinner with him here? Yeah, we had dinner. I don't have a house here. If I had dinner at my house, it would have been interesting because it wouldn't have been in the state of Florida yet. But I had dinner at his house. And I think there was another school outside. I made sure we ate all the food, so there was nothing left for them to sit down and eat before they got in there. I said we had some wings. We had some wings and other stuff. So fortunately, I had it was me and Brian Johnson and John Hevesy. So I'm like, keep eating the chicken, man. Before we had mom got some wings and some fried chicken. I was like, there's another school outside. Let's make sure there's no food left for them to sit down and eat. And I did say it was Thursday night. I was going to put my feet up and go watch the Thursday night game and make them sit in the parking lot. I said it was going to be a good game on Thursday night. But no, we did, and had a great visit. Had a great visit with him. Had a great visit with his mom. Because you know what, and this is what was important for him and his mom, and for me, and Megan was here. Megan was here for the visit to spend time with him and his mom, and to know that, like you said, he's coming to be the quarterback at the University of Florida. You better make sure that we're family now. And I think his mom understood that and understood the relationship, and not just at the quarterback position, at every position, but at that position, there's a lot of mentoring, because it goes a lot of times beyond football with the pressure and the expectations that come with playing that position, of how involved we are in every aspect of his life and helping him grow and helping him develop and how he'll be part of our family. So I think it was really important for, when I went to his house and we sat down and had dinner, they felt comfortable. And when they came down on the visit, that they not only just felt comfortable with me, but with Megan and everybody in our family.
So you left feeling very good. Thank you for the done there.
Well, I felt good, but I felt great when I watched TV and he committed to Florida today. I haven't done this. This is my first time doing it, so haven't done it in a long time. You can feel great. I felt great that we would have that relationship here. That I did felt great if he made the decision to come to Florida, that he would make the decision for all the right reasons, and that he'd be comfortable being part of the family.
90% at that point?
I don't know. I don't know. I felt good. We had the thing that made me feel good. We had constant communication with him all the way to signing today. So there was never a break in communication. So during the recruiting process, if there's never a break in communication, you feel good. I don't know that I ever put a % on anything, but I think you feel good that there was never a break in the communication. Really in the last 10 days.
We'll wrap it up with Ryan and Zach in the middle, and Nick last three.
Going to a 3-4 with Todd, how do you feel about the personnel you have, and how much do you still need to fill some needs there at linebacker?
Well, you do. I mean, obviously, outside linebackers is within the 3-4 is a key spot to that. So we got to make sure we get the right guys to be able to play that position. But I'll say this about Todd. We're going to be flexible. You'll see us being in a 3-4. You'll see us being a 4-3. We're not going to sit in one defense. We're going to move in and out of defenses and use different personnel groupings. So very similar to what we are offensively is Todd's going to have the flexibility to build the defense around the personnel that we have now and around the personnel, and as we continue to build and recruit and get guys that fit the specific needs of what we want, that defense will transition long-term into what we want to be.
And then David Reese was listed as a linebacker on most of the recruiting sites. He's a DB on your
yeah,
page here.
or corner. I don't know. He told me. I just said he's a dude now. I mean, he is. He can go. And I just said to him, I said, David, here's the interesting thing. I'm going to have the first team meeting. I'm going to start break up to your position groups. I said, where are you going to go? He said, wherever you tell me to go, Coach. I said, I'm not going to tell you to do anything. I'm just going to say, go to your position meeting. Where are you going to go? He's like, yeah, I might even go to D-line because I really want to hit the quarterback and go rush the pass or something. So I said, all right, well, then go to the D-line. Physically, there's a lot of things he can do. So, no, I do see him being somebody that can fit, whether it is as a nickel, whether it's as a linebacker, playing potentially the money backer for us, even in a passing situation, playing an outside backer coming off the edge. I think he has the ability to do a lot of different things for us.
Zach, and then we'll wrap it up with Nick.
You also have Amari, John, and Trey that can move around in the secondary. Just how key is that to get guys that have that flexibility, especially with your defense?
Well, it is because you look at the size. You look at a Trey 6'2", 180 as a corner, can play safety, could go to nickel. Amari's that guy that, it's already, 6'1", 220. That, very similar to David Reese that way, where those are guys that are going to be bigger guys that have the athletic ability, are going to run like DBs, but are going to have the size of linebackers, and that's going to be able to let them move around a lot. John, the same way, corner, safety. that's what we want. Is guys that can do that, have the length on the outside and the speed of a corner, but also the physicality of a safety to be able to move around and to fit. Because recruiting's an inexact science. Until we get them on the field and put them through doing what we want them to do, we're not going to know what position maybe is best for them. But when they have flexibility to be able to do multiple things, you're usually going to find one that fits best.
And can you just discuss the addition of Van Jefferson and his chances of playing in 2018?
I can't talk about him yet.
You guys were able to keep a lot of the class, or the guys that you wanted intact. What role did Drew Hughes have in doing that and getting you and the new coaches familiarized with the guys that had already had a previous relationship?
Yeah, Drew's done a really good job working, I guess maybe even adjusting to what we're looking for, in the change of recruiting style, the change of possible personnel and what we're looking for out of the players, but also change in the character and the makeup of the players that we're looking for. So I think he's done a really good job for us, helping transition through the staff, trying to be as organized as he can, and trying to get us after as many players as he can, as he can of kind of being that link. He and Jaywan really, to me, Sider did a tremendous job of trying to link, some of the past to where we are today.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Yeah, have a great day. Go Gators.